So my last video about how to spot emotionally mature people seemed to have helped a lot of you. So because of that, I decided to create the exact opposite, which is 10 signs of how to actually spot an emotionally mature person. So I want to start by saying this. Most people don't need theory about relationships. They need pattern recognition before the attachment happens. So essentially my goal is to make sure that you take this tool and you're able to apply it as easy as possible in your real life. So essentially knowing who not to engage with is important for safety, clarity, inner peace, of course. But what is even more important is who you choose to get close with, who you choose to open up with, and who you choose to be able to share everything that you have in your life going on. And especially if you're like me, you have been hurt in a relationship for as long as you can remember. And when that's your history, well, trust doesn't come naturally to you, and that's completely normal. And of course, that follows you with constantly questioning yourself. Can I relax here? Is this safe? Can I get hurt again? So by the end of this video, you're going to get extreme clarity on this. And some of the signs that I'm going to mention are going to actually surprise you, especially number 6. And I want you to note that this is actually important not just for friendships or random interactions. This literally makes a night and day difference in your quality of life, because you can read a potential new boss in a job that you're interviewing for, or a potential partner that you're on a date with. And just think of this for a second. You know how different life feels when you work for or date an asshole, because your everyday experience in your life is actually dependent on people that you interact with on a daily basis. And that is not small, and you know that. Who you let close in your life either actually lifts you up or pulls you down. And as much as self-work truly matters, meaning depending on myself and making sure that I feel good because I made myself feel good, at the end of the day, we are interdependent species. We do not exist happily in isolation. And that's why people around you actually impact you so deeply. So never take this lightly. All right, so now that I'm done with the spiel, let's jump into it. Sign number 1. They are reliable and consistent. This might sound obvious, but actually oftentimes it's very misunderstood. A lot of people truly mix up fun and excitement with emotional safety, which are two different things. Just think of that friend who is the life of the party and gets invited everywhere, and the moment that something seems more fun, rather than them supporting you, they would actually choose that what seems more fun. So to put it in a metaphor, you don't want a beautiful house that walls can collapse any minute. Functionality comes first. And with emotionally mature people, you can rely on their action and not just words. And not to mention, they're consistent on how they respond to you on emotional level as well. And that creates predictability, which predictability builds trust. So some examples that you might hear from a person like this. If I said I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. However, if anything changes, I will let you know early. Sign number 2. They are realistic. Emotionally mature people don't deny reality by insisting that it should be different. Yes, they work on themselves. Yes, they want to grow. But if something can be changed right now, they accept it and deal with what is and what they actually can control and can do. So, for example, if someone who is struggling with anger issues, they don't pretend that anger doesn't exist. They don't get defensive. They don't say that it's everyone else's fault. They acknowledge the anger, take responsibility for it, communicate about it, and actively work on regulating it without making it everyone else's problem. So an example that you might hear. This is something that I'm still working on, so sorry if I get a little bit too upset because I still haven't processed what's going on currently. Now that's maturity. And that takes a lot of awareness to be able to do it, but they don't allow the emotion to completely take over. And that brings us to the next point. Number 3, they can feel and think at the same time. This is what I call an adult conversation. You can have one of those with them. So essentially they can be emotional and reasonable at the same time. So what does it signals for you, especially if you're someone who grew up, who were fearing to bring up things that they care about because it's instantly conflict, instantly shut down, and everything else. So this is a completely different type of dynamic, because when some kind of problem appears, it's not a catastrophe. It's seen more as of a disconnect that needs resolution and attunement, not something that completely destroys the relationships and makes you feel guilty and bad and so on. No, you are actually able to talk because they listen, they understand your perspective, or do their best to understand your perspective. Even if they are not going to get what they want, they apologize when necessary and make real amends, not just promises. And that's very important. So very important thing to understand, that they actually are able to take responsibility instead of collapsing, attacking, defending themselves, or deflecting. But also on top of it, that they're making sure that they have that sense of self and they're able to actually express their own truth and bring it to the table in a respectful way. So an example what you can hear from a person like that, I honestly don't see it like that, but explain to me so I can try to understand you better. Number 4, they don't take everything personally. So emotionally mature people, they don't need to be seen as the perfect human being. They know that's not realistic. They know they are human, and that applies to you. They know that you're human as well. They can laugh at themselves. They can expect the mistakes being done in their life, and that's okay. They can share that. They are processing that. They don't take it as a personal hit. So when it comes down to people taking things personally, usually it comes from narcissism or low self-esteem. And both of these drain relationships, because this is what creates that consistent defensiveness and consistent seek of approval. So you can feel that dynamic and the energy is not easily flowing, essentially. So to put it simply, emotionally mature people are able to take the L, you know? They don't turn mistake into a story about themselves that means that they are bad or that they are unlovable. They learn, they adjust, and they move on. And even you are going to notice that when you're going through some kind of challenging moment in your life, that they approach you with the same kind of energy, that they want to see, okay, what you can learn. They come with compassion, they come with understand that you're a human, that like life happens. They can throw a joke here and there. You can see that there's like lightness and understanding and very warm kind of communication. And it's absolutely amazing what a presence like that can do for someone who is currently going through a healing process from relational traumas, for example, where they're used to get attacked or where they used to get guilt tripped and all of the other things. Like this alone will change how you see people and change how you see relationships, and you will understand why it's so valuable to look out for these exact relationships in your life. So for example, what kind of reaction you can see from them is that you give them feedback and they don't get triggered. So sign number 5, and we're halfway. They are respectful and reciprocal. So to put it very simply, they want connection, not intrusion. Because when people don't feel aligned in themselves, they look how they can find a way to intrude into someone else's boundaries, into someone else's life, and then get their own needs met. So this particular relationship with an emotionally mature person is actually on a completely different scale, essentially. With them, you can truly feel that they are looking out for you, not just themselves. They take your sincere best interest and put it into their own heart, into their own hands. And this is what they actually expect to do from you as well. Like, you're a team if you are together, not going against each other. They honor your differences. They don't expect you to shrink or change just for their own convenience, which we can see in emotional immature people, right? They will never tell you what should you feel or how should you think. They seek to first understand you and then go for your best interests. So here I want to bring up the house metaphor again. So let's say the structure is good now, right? So walls are not falling, but house does need warmth, house does need wiring, house does need plumbing. So that infrastructure makes it livable. So respect and reciprocity is that infrastructure for relationships. So people like this might say to you, if you truly don't like this, just let me know, we will find something better to make sure that you're good and I'm good. Or for example, something like this. I didn't see it that way. Oh my God. Okay, how did you come to that conclusion? I'm very interested to hear that. Point number 6. So here, listen up, and this is why I mentioned it in the beginning of the video. They have a stable temper. And what do I mean by that? Emotionally mature people communicate what's wrong and ask for change directly. They don't make you feel like you're walking on eggshells. They want conflict to actually get resolved, not get buried or make it just a silent kind of tension and no one even knows what to do with it. So because of that, I want you to be really cautious about early irritability in a relationship and early intensity. So emotionally mature people, what they do, they actually expect you to regulate their own discomfort, their own emotions. And not to mention the other side of this is that they go to the opposite extreme as well and come on very strong onto you in the very beginning. So this is where we're talking about love bombing and stuff. Over the top closeness, instant deep bonding, asking very personal stuff, big promises before the connection is even built or real trust. So that isn't emotional maturity. It's emotional dysregulation. So if someone swings quickly to you with charm, intensity, then irritation or withdrawal, you're not meeting with a passionate person. You're meeting instability. So this is where emotionally mature people, they actually build that connection steadily. They don't rush intimacy to hook you, and they don't punish you when their emotions rise up. So if at any point you feel that you're becoming an emotional punching bag for someone, or like you're being pulled too fast before that common sense kind of closeness exists, that's a huge red flag. So for example, you can hear a person saying something like this: I'm irritated right now, so just give me a moment, but I'm not angry with you. Not silence, not explosions, not intensity followed by tension, just clarity and communication. So sign number 7, they are open-minded and flexible. So this is actually very huge. So they have a solid sense of self, which allows them to be open to other people's perspectives without losing themselves. They are okay not knowing everything because they know that it's unrealistic to know everything. They are not afraid to look stupid. They completely own what they are good at, and they are okay with owning what they are not good at. It's not shame or a secret for them. On top of it, they might disagree with you, but they will sincerely try to understand you, not just diminish your points and say like, no, you're wrong, I'm not going to even listen to you. So this particular thing, it actually creates that healthy polarity between people. They understand that different doesn't mean threatening. You like green, it's your favorite color. I like white. Great. That can coexist. We can honor each other's differences. And exactly that, it actually creates a more interesting life because it's basically like having different type of spices in the same food. So for example, what you might hear from people like this: that's not how I see it, but that actually sounds interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? Sign number 8, they are honest. So honesty is a true foundation of trust. And many people lie to others just because of self-protection, especially when they are not anchored in their own truths. And a lot of people don't even know their own truths. So emotionally mature people won't do that. However, very important distinction that emotionally mature people, they don't go into extreme and overshare things or be rude about their own honest truth. It means that when there's real connection and you're open to hearing their truth, you actually get it. You won't hear it like, oh, they said you one thing and then you feel like, okay, something is dishonest, something doesn't seem right. Or you can feel that when something is just not resonating. And they do that even when it's uncomfortable, even when they know that it might hurt you. But they are not saying that because they want to hurt you. They're saying that because they are honest, and in most cases, they actually are the ones that want to help you. And this is how they see the thing. So yeah, very important thing, do not mistake this with being rude, because don't forget that these people actually come with respect and open-mindedness. So it will always come with a good intention from their side. That's very important to know. So a very easy example to understand, they might say to you something like this: I know that you might not want to hear this, but I truly do believe that you're now allowing your fears to hold you back. Sign number 9. They are responsive. Emotional presence, fun, engagement, care. This is what makes relationship enjoyable, not just functional. This is where safety actually turns into pleasure, and this is what creates the best in life. So you can hear them saying something like this: you seem a little bit off. Do you want to talk, or do you want some space? Or something like this: I'm listening, take your time. And sign number 10, they have empathy. With them you feel safe, heard, seen, understood. You can share an experience and actually be met. For example, someone did you wrong and they're reacting, what the fuck, that's insane, why would anyone do that to you? Or when something great is happening, oh my god, hell yes, finally you got what you deserve, I'm so proud of you, tell me more, what happened? That resonance, that mirroring is everything. And honestly, I haven't experienced this until I met my man right now. And honestly, this is life-changing. Just imagine that for your whole life you were going on these Disneyland rides, and some of them were awesome, some of them you hated, and you tried to explain that to someone who doesn't know what a ride or Disneyland is. And then you meet someone who's going on all of the rides with you at the same time, and you just experience everything, and it's just like, it's so fucking amazing. So that is very important. So if you're someone who's actually aligned and you have healed through a lot of things, or in general you're a little bit healthy, more kind of a person in your alignment, you probably can feel a lot of those things. You don't have to analyze all of these mentally. Okay, how does this person do? What did they say? Was this this sign or that sign? I just know that before healing these particular things as tools, just to know that I'm not going crazy, would be life-changing. But I only got to know them after I healed through, and it comes intuitively then. But let's be honest, not everyone is there, and this is why it's important to take this as a tool and bring it into real life. If you feel that, okay, like I'm not very good at knowing what is what, and you're expected to know who is actually going to be okay for you in your life, and that is not fair to you, especially if you have dealt with completely different reality in your life, right? So that distinction, that hope, that, you know, there are those people who are going to be treating you properly, who are going to mirror you, your experience, who are going to be there for you. They are there. So this really gives you something solid so you can look for, something to hold on when your nervous system is confused, or when you get attached to, like, maybe a dream of someone being in a particular way how I want it, or a job being something that sounds so good, and you're like, okay, I need to take a step back and evaluate because it kind of doesn't sit right for me, like that new boss or something like that. And I want to be very honest with you here. If I had known this earlier in my life, I would have avoided so much pain. Horrible love interests when I was young, friends that were damaging me from the inside, jobs that I took with horrible bosses that were abusing me with my time and just not paying the right amount, even landlords who only cared about themselves. I would have saved so much time, so much energy, money even, lots of money. So as dramatic as it sounds, everything is a lesson, and I'm very happy that I am where I am right now. And now my job is to help those who are in situations where I have been, and basically to make sure that, okay, you have this tool so you don't have to go through this whole hell that I have been through. This is actually when you realize that information is everything. Information is gold. So before I knew anyone who is emotionally mature, I thought that I'm going crazy and I expect too much out of life. Essentially that they don't even exist. So if you feel that way, you're absolutely not alone. It took me time, it took me healing, it took me strong boundaries to build to make sure that I'm able to filter my way out from all of that nonsense where I was in and start getting the relationships that I really cherish, and then they do fulfill me rather than damage me. So please don't settle for less. And if you were really listening to those 10 signs and really trying to understand, you might have noticed this thing, that it always goes both ways. The relationship you have with yourself is what you bring to others. The way you treat yourself is how you treat others. If you allow yourself to be human, you're allowing others to be human as well. If you respect your boundaries, you're respecting other boundaries as well. But very important thing to also remember is that not everything is just black and white. No one is always perfectly emotionally mature or perfectly emotionally immature. Most of us are somewhere in between those two, because yet again, we are human. So even emotionally mature people, they do have triggers, especially around unresolved pain, but they are just more aware of that. They know how to deal with that, not deal with that, but actually how to care for themselves inside themselves with that. So response is completely different. But even carrying that unresolved pain, like, that's okay. Having triggers is okay, as long as you're not just leaving them and saying like, oh, this is just my personality and everyone love me how I am. No, it's uncomfortable for you, it's uncomfortable for other people. It doesn't work like that. So all of this is not about perfection. It's about taking responsibility, willing to be aware and willing to grow. So if some of these traits are not there yet for you in yourself, if you're completely honest, that's okay, because awareness is beginning of real change. You don't go from unconscious to fully conscious overnight. So you notice first what is off, you course correct, and over time you become more grounded with yourself and with others. And if you feel any resistance, any denial that pops up from all of these things, all of these signs that I have introduced you to, know them down. That's extremely valuable information for yourself, because resistance usually points to a part of yourself that you had to suppress in order to survive. And reclaiming those parts is actually extremely beneficial, and I would say necessary, if you actually want to live that fulfilling life with fulfilling relationships. And the more emotionally mature you become, the more aligned you become, the better you feel inside of yourself, the easier you're going to start attracting those emotionally mature people in your own life. Because, well, we live in a 3D reality in which everything is reflected, everything is mirrored back to us. So the more you change, the more you're able to come into alignment, integration with your own self, the more you're going to see that in the outside of yourself. And if you haven't watched my video about 7 signs of emotionally immature people, I highly recommend that you do, because knowing how emotionally mature people look like and what they do is only half part of the equation. So the other half is actually being able to recognize when someone can't meet you where you are. So you stop overgiving, you stop self-abandoning or trying to earn safety where it was never even possible. So when you understand both, something clicks. You stop questioning yourself, you stop making excuses for people, you start choosing connections that actually supports your nervous system and your growth. So when you have those two pieces together, it will definitely change your life and how you see people forever.